In this day, we have Tinubu to service chiefs. Defeat these enemies once. I'll provide all the support. And FG inches closer to implementing single window policy for efficiency at Nigerian ports by 2026. Removal of fuel subsidy, forex reforms have strengthened redirected public resources. New Telegraph. House APC hits two-thirds majority with 243 reps as 5 Enugu members dump PDP. Digital reforms, tech giants, telcos vie for Nigeria's 430 billion naira data center market. Army redeploys 56 major generals, 11 brigadier generals in major shakeup. Then moving on to Daily Trust. What APC can do with two-thirds National Assembly majority. Bauchi to create additional 29 local government areas, 6 National Assembly approval. Fuel price may go up according to marketers. Alleged coup plot, Brigadier General, colonels, others under probe. Cameroon's opposition leader flees. UN France warn against repression. The Guardian. Justice on trial as courts battle neglect infrastructure deficit. Petrol may hit 1,163 naira per litre as FG targets 4.8 trillion naira yearly from fresh tariff. We're going to be talking more about that. APC gains upper hand in House as defections reshape power balance. JAMB probes 10 staffers over corrupt practices. The leadership on Friday, refiners hailed Tinubu's imposition of 15% duty on imported petrol, diesel. Bauchi Assembly again rise the National Assembly. They want to create new local government areas. Commission enhances staff capacity ahead of 2026 Hajj. Daily Sun, defection. Presidency, APC governors, APC NWC to receive Diri on Monday. That's Bayelsa State Governor Doye Diri. Nigerians will suffer over 15% fuel import tariff, APC chieftain warns. And of course, going again to the marching order given to the new service chiefs by President Tinubu. FG close to single window policy implementation at pause, says Shetima. Tinubu approves 4 trillion naira bond to clear power sector debt. Moving on to the international headlines, Daily Express, King removes style, titles and honors from brother. And then we have other papers as well. Metro.co.uk, Reeves House, Gaff haunts Starmer. The Daily Telegraph, Andrew no longer prints. So this is heavily covered in all the papers in the United Kingdom. If we go to the Times, we see that also Andrew stripped of his prince title and home. Daily Graphic in Ghana, France DP now bond. That's a photo of the president of Ghana and Emmanuel Macron of France. Newspaper, again, Andrew stripped of prince title in historic move to save monarchy. The Guardian, again, Andrew stripped of his royal titles. UN leaders condemn Sudan mass killings. Letting agency takes blame for Reeves' error. That's the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the middle of the storm now. How long she'll hang on, we'll have to see. Then the Daily Mirror screams, finally, for Prince Andrew. He's out. And Financial Times, US and China agree on trade deal as Trump hails 12 out of 10 Xi summit. All right, let's return to this day newspaper. So what we are seeing in these days is that in a bold ask, President Tinubu demanded that the new service chiefs defeat Nigeria's enemies once and for all, promising to give all the support they require. And shape up in the army as army staff redeploys top generals and other senior officers. And then let's go to the Daily Times, where we also have that story. In the Daily Times, Tinubu demands reshuffle, charges service chiefs to defeat terrorists and bandits. The president decorated the new service chiefs yesterday with they're now going to be 3-star and 4-star generals. That was after their confirmation by the Senate, and he demanded results from them. And he said, and I quote, that the groups or the armed groups in Nigeria have to be smashed right in the head. The news of that new service chiefs has been on the front burner for a couple of days now, from the time they were appointed, and we'll have to see how they progress. But remember that talking about defeating terrorists and bandits and delivering results, the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluya, they had asked the president to support them. And one of the things that he asked for was that the Nigerian police force should be adequately funded in order to free the army of internal security responsibilities. And I'd like us to expand on that, because recently only we saw that the president had backed the decision of the National Executive Council to overhaul police training institutions across Nigeria. So the rebuilding of these institutions is meant to boost morale and also reinstate professionalism in the Nigerian police force. And interestingly, the governor of Enugu State, Mr. Peter Mba, who has just joined the APC, was given the task of coming up with a blueprint for this rebuilding and overhaul that is expected to be done. So the committee has 1 month only to come up with a strategy to get this done. So essentially, Yolanda, everything is coalescing, and this overhaul is very important because it will go a long way to reposition the Nigeria police force if it is done properly.
You know, the new appointment of these service chiefs is really a huge responsibility, because in addition to their military action and what is being required and asked of them by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think one big factor as well is the restoring public trust into these types of institutions. I feel like the public has lost trust in the security agencies over time because of how porous our borders have been and everything that has been happening with the various attacks in different states. So I believe that on top of all that you have said, as you rightly mentioned, we've been speaking on this topic for the past couple of days and kind of looking at the different angles and what needs to be done. But I believe that this area of public confidence, building the trust back with Nigerians, is something that needs to be looked into as well.
And as regards the police force, we're talking about, what are the character of people that have been employed, what is the criteria, apart from the training institutions, the funding for the police. When you look at the living quarters of the police force, especially the barracks that are scattered across the country, when you see the conditions, the very deplorable conditions that people have to live in, and you wonder how that affects the psyche, the psychology of those that are supposed to protect you internally in the country. So all of this is a combination of factors that need to be looked at critically in order to make sure that the police is supported in every way they need to be in order to deliver that internal security. Let's move on to the second story in this day. The window piece says Edu removal of fuel subsidy, forex reforms have strengthened redirected public resources. Since we're speaking of subsidy removal, let's also see related stories in the Leadership newspaper. There in the Leadership, refiners hail Tinubu's imposition of 50% duty on imported petrol and diesel. If we go to Daily Sun, it tells us what this means, that Nigerians will suffer over 15% fuel import tariff. And in Daily Trust, also, simply put, fuel price may go up according to marketers. So while the This Day report shares World Bank analysis of Nigeria's current economic conditions of macroeconomic stability due to reforms, there are other prevailing elements of reform that still have to be dealt with. And one of them is now this new proposed 15% tariff on imported petrol. This has divided experts. and players in the downstream sector. While some applaud it, others say the timing is ill-advised and could see a rise in prices, further impoverishing people. So this policy is meant to discourage importation and encourage local refining. The president's approval followed a request by the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue, Zach Adedeji, in which he made a case for government to apply tariff to align import costs with domestic realities. So this is expected to increase petrol prices by maybe 99.72% per liter. And he said the current price between locally refined products and import parity created instability in the market. A lot of thoughts on this, Brenda.
Yeah, I think we've seen that fragility in balancing what we can call political convenience with economic realities. While it's a mix of skepticism and optimism in the crude market and international markets. Let me start from Wale Edu. I think we are beginning to sound like a broken record because we know that there have been policy alignment between the fiscal and monetary policy, and the federal government has been able to curb speculative activities of the forex market. That has yielded some level of stability in the country. Now we're beginning to take very ambitious policy like curbing, like imposing 15% import tariff on importation of petrol. I think the spirit behind it, the rationale behind this is to boost the local refineries, to strengthen the local refineries along the oil value chain. I think we have 4 modular refineries and the Dangote refinery. So this would encourage patronage on the local refineries, the production from the local refineries, because we understand that Dangote has, I think, 1 billion liters of petrol now. That shows that there is a disequilibrium between the supply and the demand forces, and when we have such kind of situation, it disincentivizes production within the local refineries value chain. But if you would also look at the other narrative, some people are saying that the petroleum market has contributed about 69% of the local sufficiency. So there's a need for transparency, and there's a need for the oil regulators, the Nigerian the Nigerian midstream and upstream regulatory Commission Authority and the Nigerian Union of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority Commission, rather, to really look at how we could have a free market economy where we could stabilize this production, boost local production in Nigeria, and also be able to generate revenue. So I think that is the situation we are right now. It might not necessarily lead to increase in the pump price of petrol if well managed and well regulated in the oil sector. So
Benga, let's look at the numbers, because that is very important and what is being discussed here in this space. So Dangote refineries is 600,000 barrels per day, and he had said to Nigerians that he will be able to provide sufficiency for local consumption. So the numbers, according to what we have today, is that local refiners, including Dangote, are able to cover just over 30% of local needs. Still, about 67% is imported as at June 2025. So in practice, they're not covering all that we need. So what people are saying is that, okay, yes, Dangote has said that by 3 years' time, he's planning to expand his refinery to 1.4 million barrels. And then we have the 200,000 barrels per day coming up in Akwa Ibom State. I don't know whether there's a date for that to be completed. So at the end of the day, this is a few years to go. So others are saying that we need to be careful here, because you do not want to increase your already increased price of fuel by this 15% tariff that is being slammed on imported fuel, because as of today we are not able to provide 100% of local consumption.
But it must be pointed out that the stability that we have seen in the forex market could also be linked directly to the coming on stream of the Dangote refinery that has been able to now strengthen the Naira, because there is no way we could achieve that forex stability without boosting our local production, and oil is our mainstream.
Yeah,
That's
again, numbers. At the end of the day, data is what matters.
Absolutely.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah, let's see the third story in this day newspaper. Here it says FG inches closer to implementing single window policy for efficiency at Nigerian ports by 2026. So the big goal here is to reduce clearance of goods from 21 days to less than 7 by 2026, thereby positioning Nigerian ports for super efficiency. This is important in the light of the fact that it takes 5 to 7 days to clear goods in other nearby ports in Ghana and Cotonou, which is why Nigerians prefer to go to those ports. Let's also talk about the cost of clearing goods. In Nigeria, it costs 30% higher compared to regional ports. So that is debilitating for both regional and international players, and especially for our local players, Nigerians themselves that do business. So the biggest economy on the continent, you want to have one of the best, if not the best ports, at least regionally, if not continentally. So Yolanda, the point then will be by 2026, we will be able to achieve this important milestone that we desperately need as a country and a big economy on the continent.
Dr. Constance, I want to be positive and say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. I want to remind you as well that a few months ago we spoke about the activities of agencies such as AFTA and what they were doing, trying to link different African countries so that we're able to trade in a more effective and easier way and more affordable way as well. So this, up and down, back and forth with the fluctuation of prices to import goods, to bring in things and see how things are happening at the ports is still a very dicey situation. I think instead of only just looking ahead, we also need to be proactive in our approach to how we look at such situations. I know that right now the economy is not looking very positive, but just as Benga rightly mentioned out, the fact that the US dollar has shown some sort of stability, I think it's a good step forward in hoping and forecasting what is to come.
All right, that's hoping that we achieve that milestone. Daily Sun this morning, the faction presidency APC governors, APC NWC to receive Diri on Monday. The governor had resigned from his party, the People's Democratic Party, recently and was silent on his next move. While a big fanfare is being planned to welcome him, there's another developing story here. The Deputy Governor, Lawrence Eru-Japo, has approached the Federal High Court in Abuja to stop an alleged impeachment plot against him. From what we gather, the deputy governor refused. Well, we already know that the deputy governor refused to resign from the PDP alongside Governor Diri Duoye. So interestingly, both men, the governor and the deputy, are political godsons of the former governor Siraki Disin, who first of all supported their senatorial ambitions years back before he backed their gubernatorial elections and they became governor and deputy. So now Diri is charting a completely different path, while the deputy governor also wants to go in the opposite direction. So there are clashes here, but the point, Benga, here is, what's the thing for an impeachment? Both men have about 2 years left in office and they're not coming back for a second term. This is their final term. Is it necessary to have an impeachment?
Well, we've seen the politics play out, and it's beyond the politics of survival now. The governor said that the state needed a platform, and the responsibility rests on him to provide that platform that will serve the state's interest. We can see that the PDP is not providing that platform, that credible, that veritable, and that viable platform to drive the state ahead of the 2027 election regarding the competition and the realities that lies ahead of this race. So coming back, we know that politics is local, so we can't have that kind of defection. It would definitely have spiral implications all over the tiers of governance in the states, and the implication is when they have that kind of majority. But if an impeachment is coming, there are processes, there are due processes for impeachment, which is recognized in the law, and they cannot just say because you have the number, they have to have a 2/3 majority within the House, which they have, but now they have to also list the impeachment allegations, and there will be a panel of jury that would look into that, and the impeachment notice has to be served along with the requirements of the law. So if this is happening, it's just a play out of the political realities, prevailing political realities in Bayelsa states.
But we also know that in most cases the governor is literally in control of the state houses of assembly, so it's usually very easy to impeach a deputy or even a speaker if they want. Look at what happened in Rivers State.
Well,
so but it's an unfolding story.
Well, let's
yeah, so
So guys, in today's discussion, there's a powerful statement made by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to Nigerian service chief, a statement that reflects urgency, determination, and a renewed call to end insecurity once and for all. Guys, according to a report from Arise News, Tinubu told the service chiefs, defeat these enemies once and I will provide all the support. Guys, everybody was shocked to hear because, ever since this insecurity started, ever since it got worse under Tinubu's administration, we have not even seen any movement to stop all these bad guys. But guys, after the chief Musa Christopher dropped and handed over to the next person, Tinubu is suddenly coming out to tell the service chief to defeat these enemies, and and he's going to provide support for all. Let's see how all this plays out. Do you think this is, Tinubu just coming out to make his normal statement he always make and then go to his room to sleep? Something like that, guys. We will know, once these people assume to work. So the statement is drawing attention nationwide, and in this video, we'll break down what it means, the context behind it, and what implication it could have for Nigerian security architecture. So, in recent years, you guys know that Nigeria has faced a complex web of security challenges: insurgency in the northeast, banditry and kidnapping across the northwest, farmers' header conflicts in the middle belt, and separatist agitation in the southeast. So, upon assuming office, President Tinubu made security one of his top national priorities, guys, emphasizing that without peace and stability, economic reforms and national growth would remain fragile. So his latest message to the service chief, delivered during a high-level security meeting, comes as a clear directive. The era of excuse is actually over. So Tinubu's statement is defeat these enemies once. It carries a tone of finality. It's not just an order, it is a challenge. He essentially telling the military hierarchy, deliver results once and for all. Let's see if these people will do well, because that when Musa was still the chief of defense staff, guys, insecurity here, insecurity there, after all his promises, he said he's going to bring down Tuji Bello. Tuji Bello is still hovering around freely, and the person that said he's going to bring down Tuji Bello has left office, guys. What is really going on? And then another person has come up, and obviously the same person will still say, I'm going to fight insecurity, I'm going to bring down Tuji Bello. Let's see how all this thing will play. At the end, we'll know if what he said today is actually what he will do. We're going to see that at the end. So what is particularly important here is the follow-up line that Tinubu said, I will provide all the support. Let's see if truly Tinubu will provide support, because that they bring out money for security purposes every year, but then our soldiers are still complaining of weapons, sophisticated weapons, because these bad guys have more sophisticated weapons than these soldiers. There are even some soldiers in the bush that are now running away, saying that they cannot face these bad guys. They are with more weapons than them. We have seen several videos of these soldiers coming out to lament in the bush, saying that they're not well fed, they're underpaid. Imagine, there was even one that happened, when Tinubu gave Falcons money and an apartment. These soldiers came out lamenting bitterly. Look at them that is fighting for Nigeria. They go to different places, risking their life. They leave their families, and then they give them peanuts. They don't even give them food. Like, they don't give them good food to eat. They live in huts. Some said some of these political some said some of these people in Aso Rock, their dogs cannot even live in where they live, you know, fighting for Nigeria. So guys, let's see if Tinubu truly would do what he said, you know, to the service chief, by telling them that he's going to provide all support if they fight these bad guys once and for all. So guys, what do you think about this? Drop a comment below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like and share this video. Thank you for watching.